Hey guys, welcome back. It's Lucky here, and today we're going to go over the 10 things I wish I knew sooner when playing VRISING 1.0. The developers gave me early access to this version of the game, so I've already dumped over 100 hours into it. I absolutely threw myself into this game because I was having such a good time. I've seen all the new bosses, I found all the new merchants, and I've made all the mistakes that you can make in doing so. So let me save you some time and some currency by giving you a bit of warning about the biggest mistakes I wish I knew before diving into the full release of VRISING 1.0. The first mistake I made has to do with the new merchants and the new merchant recipes that you can buy in this game and the new best in slot weapons. Really, it's all one topic. So there is now 2 merchants in Ruins of Mortium. The southern one sells the level 20 weapon recipes. The northern one sells the level 30 weapon recipes. Currency to spend at these is similar but different. So the level 20 recipe vendor, he uses Stygian shards, whereas the level 30 vendor uses greater Stygian shards. Similar but different, like I mentioned. And the way you get these Stygian shards is by participating in these incursions that are popping up on the map. And these incursions will pop up, and then depending on your server settings, you'll have somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes to kill these mobs at these incursions and then collect the Stygian shards that the incursion drops when you complete each section of it. So the tier 1 incursions drop the regular Stygian shards, and then when it switches over to tier 2, which will happen when tier 1 ends here in 2 minutes, when you complete the tier 2 incursions, that's when you'll get the greater Stygian shards. You'll start participating in this system around level 57. That's when you're going to be doing the tier 1 incursions, and then the tier 2 incursions are around level 80. So you don't have to worry about this too much until level 57, but as soon as you get to 57, definitely participate in the incursions. I saw them spawning and I did a couple, not realizing how useful this currency was, and I slept on it basically. And in the end, I really wished I hadn't, because you're going to end up waiting for these to spawn. You can only collect so many Stygian shards per incursion. So when you see these things spawn on the map, you really do want to go over and do them, because you're going to get that currency to spend at not only this merchant, but also at a station in your base, which is going to allow you to unlock passives. There are a lot of passives that you can unlock permanently with your Stygian shards. So you've got crafting recipes from these Stygian shards, and you've got character passives, and then you've also got jewels that you can craft the greater Stygian shards. So there is so much that you do with this currency. Whenever you see them pop up, come over here and do your incursions, okay? This merchant right here that I'm standing next to is part of this conversation. So what happened was I found one of these weapon recipes while killing a boss, and these are the weapon recipes that you can find out in the world, and it lets you craft a level 20 weapon, which is fantastic. That's a great weapon. And then you can further improve it by upgrading it in your base from 20 to 23, and then from 23 to 26. So it's a great weapon that you get to invest in for a while. And so I made a bunch of these thinking that, hey, this is about as good as it gets. But what I didn't realize was these recipes, one, they are now sold down here at this merchant down here. So you don't have to settle for the weapon you find. You can go to this merchant down here and buy the recipe that you want. And it's very affordable. It's real easy to get the currency to do it. But what I didn't realize was there was now a new type of weapon, this one here. And it's a level 30 weapon recipe that you can find and create. So I crafted a lot of extra 20 weapons, which worked out great for my servants. It wasn't a complete waste, but it did cost me a lot of time and a lot of currency. And I really do wish that I had maybe only made one of those and then instead saved up and created the level 30 ones, because it costs quite a few resources to get these from 20 to 23 and then 26. Whereas these level 30 recipes, it's much more simple. It's much more straightforward. You create one weapon, combine it with the recipe, and boom, you have a level 30 weapon recipe. They are more powerful and they are easier to make. The next thing I want to tell you about is if you see a horse-drawn carriage. But first, now this game is running great on my computer thanks to my beast of a GPU. Last time I upgraded it, I took the old one out and then tossed it in a drawer to collect dust, which always felt like such a waste. But now there's an easy way to turn your old computer parts into cash. Jawa.gg is an online store dedicated to buying and selling used gaming PC parts and has kindly sponsored today's video. Check them out using the link in the description below to see how much they can save you on your next gaming PC purchase. Or if you just want to have someone else collect the parts and build the PC for you, Jawa has verified sellers that you can trust to get the job done, and with some of the best prices on the internet. Every gamer wants the newest graphics card. This is my favorite part of Jawa. Jawa will buy your old GPU from you to help offset the cost of your new GPU. No more taking your old parts out of your computer just to watch them collect dust. Turn them into cash right now using my link down in the description below. With Jawa, there's lots to love, which is why Jawa has a massive and rapidly growing Discord community that loves the website, earning it a 4.7 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot. So be sure to sign up for the Jawa newsletter to be alerted to the best deals the Jawa team finds every week, as well as featured builds and more. If you want to skip the hassle of researching, buying, and building a gaming PC, PC for yourself, use my link to have Jawa's verified sellers show you just how affordable upgrading your PC could be right now. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the video. Now, if you see a horse-drawn carriage, make sure that you attack it. You'll attack the guys that are pulling it around, similar to this one, right? Except it'll have a horse. This is one of the single best loot sources in the entire game, if not the best loot source in the game, in terms of how much you get for doing one simple task. So you'll see one of these, it'll have a horse attached to it, a guy driving, right? And probably some guards with it. And when you see that happen, you want to stop what you're doing and you want to attack it. And then after you kill all the people protecting it, then you're going to sit there and attack the carriage itself until it breaks. And after it does, you'll be able to hold F down and loot it. The amount of stuff I got the first time I did this, it blew me away. I don't know how many of these I had walked by thinking that they were not really a special event. I got tons of research, tons of materials, tons of currency. It was insane. Do these whenever you see one, whatever you do, stop what you're doing and kill everything, kill the cart and loot it. Promise it'll be worth it. All right, the next thing I wish I knew sooner has to do with the cursed forest. In the cursed forest, you're going to run around and you're slowly going to get this debuff that is going to obscure your vision such that your map is completely useless. Your compass is completely useless. Your mini map in the top right is useless, right? You have no idea where you are. It's very hard to keep your bearings in here. And it's very easy to get lost and spend a lot of time running around aimlessly once this happens. There are these wisps that you can find, and this is going to give you a brief reprieve from this problem. It's going to briefly remove the debuff. So we'll interact with this here and quickly show you. And now you can see that the number of debuffs here is going down quite rapidly. Problem is that this is very brief, right? So it gives us a chance to look at the map, see where we are, get our bearings, and be like, okay, I need to start heading this direction to get out of here. First of all, those can be kind of hard to find. Second of all, it's very brief. It's already back to 100. We're already blind again, right? So a very simple solution for this problem is your bat form once you get it. This is something I didn't realize until way too many hours into the game. So what you can do is go into bat form, and what this is going to do is it's going to lift you above the cursed fog here that is intoxicating you, and you'll see that your stacks immediately start going down. So once you have the ability to go into bat form, this can be a great way to quickly drop stacks or even completely avoid them altogether when you're navigating this zone. Just be careful, because if it is daytime outside, that's going to fly you up into the sun and that's going to sting very quickly. So go up for a second, let some stacks fall off so you can see, and then come right back down, and you shouldn't take too much damage at all if you do that. The next thing that I wish I knew sooner was how incredibly useful resistance potions are in this game. You've got a few really important resistance potions that you'll have access to, and I would say that that is fire, garlic, and holy resistance. So these three are going to be insanely useful when you find yourself fighting a boss and it's feeling a little bit difficult and it's doing a lot of fire damage. Use this fire brew. It gives you 50 fire resistance rating. That is a lot. It's way more than it sounds like, and it will be the difference between their attacks hurting a lot and their attacks hurting almost not at all. And the same is true of the holy resistance potion here. This potion is nuts. So there are some bosses in this game where you'll walk near them. They'll be in a church and you'll start taking holy damage just from stepping foot in that area. And this makes the fight almost impossible. However, if you pop one of these potions before you go in, it lasts a full hour and it persists through death. So you just pop it and then you get as many attempts at that boss as you want. Not only are you no longer taking damage from the aura around the area, but also the holy attack from that boss hurts significantly less. And those bosses can go from almost impossible to being a bit of a pushover just by using one of these potions. Mid-game, you'll fight a boss where you'll use this potion, and later towards the end game, there's another holy boss where you definitely want to use this flask here, and that's going to make it just a night and day easier fight. So the big tip here is take advantage of potions. These things are not to be underestimated. This is a game where your resistance buffs are actually incredibly powerful. Now, speaking of resistance buffs, there's going to be a point in the mid game where you need to collect a lot of cotton, and the cotton in this game tends to be protected by garlic. See these garlic cloves hanging up here right there, and we're getting stacks of a garlic debuff that's going to cause us to do less damage and take more damage. And these come quite fast and they stick around for what feels like forever after you get them. So you'll come in here, you'll grab your cotton, and then it's time to take off. So you run out of here and you'll be stuck with your stacks of this debuff. An easy way to get rid of these faster is to actually use your bear form. So you go into bear form, and instead of losing 1 stack per tick, you'll start losing 2 or 3 stacks per tick. So right now we're at 17, boom, we went down to 14. So it's like tripling the rate at which we are getting rid of these stacks. And the reason this is happening is if we come into our attributes and we look, our resistances here go up significantly when we're in bear form. We've got 40 garlic resistance in bear form. This is why it's causing the stacks to fall off faster. If we leave bear form and we look again, now we're at 15. So we just got resistance just for going into bear form. And this gives us all of these resistances. So anytime you need all of these resistances for some reason, bear form isn't a bad idea. However, bear form's not super combat effective. So that's why I tend to really only use it for something like getting rid of my garlic debuff. And if you're someone that's new to VRISING or new to VRISING 1.0, after you finish watching this video, be sure to check out my complete beginner guide I made for VRISING 1.0. I'll have it linked down in the description below. The next thing I wish I knew sooner is that you can use X, the key X, to spell cancel. So you can start casting something and then you can change your mind, which is incredibly useful because there's times where you go to cast something and it has a slightly longer cast and the boss that you're fighting will capitalize on that by attacking right when you start to cast. And so you can just cancel it. And instead of having the boss knock you out of your cast, losing credit for your skill, having it go down on cooldown and taking damage, right? All of these bad things happen because you tried to cast at the wrong time. You can just cancel it yourself. Now your skill's not going to go on cooldown. You get like a half-second cooldown instead of a 8-9 second cooldown. So it's great. And you're able to dodge out of the attack that's incoming. So X is your friend. The next thing I wish I realized sooner is that you can use bat form to get back to your body really, really quickly. So let's say we died here, right? And I wanted to get back to my body and I was a ways away from the nearest respawn point. Since we've died, we now no longer have anything in our possession, which means that we can use bat form, which makes getting back to the corpse that you just left on the ground with all your loot in it a million times easier, you know, than running across the map on foot. So be sure to take advantage of your bat form once you get it. It's really easy to forget about it. This is another tip that was useful in early access as well. And that's going to be the fact that if you see someone glowing red, that's someone to pay attention to. That means that they have really high percent blood, somewhere over 90%. So you see a glowing red creature or person, they have blood inside of them that you probably want. So what you want to do is you want to dominate them and bring them back to a prison cell and save them if they're a person. If at all possible, that's what you want to do. This way you can tap into that blood anytime you want to without having to kill them. And you have an unlimited supply of really high quality blood, you know, and that's going to give you those fantastic blood buffs that you're getting. So just be on the lookout for glowing red people. You see someone that's glowing red, that's someone that you want to either suck their blood right then and there if you don't have prison cells, or if you do have prison cells, you want to put them in a prison cell. And if you've already got them in your prison, then you're going to want to put them in a coffin and turn them into a servant. And then the higher their blood, the higher their expertise will be. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you get a 90% blood type on a humanoid out in the wild and then you bring them back and turn them into a servant, they're not going to have 90% expertise. They'll have some fraction of that. But the higher their blood type, the higher the expertise will be. And then these stats that are showing up in the middle here, max health, damage, hunt proficiency, and loot are all going to go up significantly the better the blood is of the servant. So you want to look for servants with a good blood. They're going to do significantly better out there if you do. Okay, so this next tip is going to have to do with the Gloomrod expansion because I know a lot of you guys haven't dove into that yet. And that is one of the main things that you're going to need a lot of are depleted batteries. And these are a very unique crafting material because they're kind of a multi-step process. So the first thing you're going to have to do to find depleted batteries is attack scrap piles like this. And this is going to give you scrap, which you need loads of in the mid to late game. You're going to need lots of this stuff, so don't feel bad about attacking it. And then after you destroy that pile of scrap, it's going to drop a depleted battery. Now those you're going to want a ton of. So you're going to run around killing all of these piles of scrap and collecting the depleted batteries that fall out. If you hover over the map, you can see which places have the scrap and the depleted batteries. These are great places to farm it. You just run from one to the next. So you can get a nice loop where you start down here at this waypoint, you run up to these two locations, then to this one here, then to this one here, and then this one here, and this one here. And then you come to Thunderstrike Peaks. Once you have 10 or more, because you need to have multiples of 10 for the next step. So if you have 10, you'll be able to do 10. If you have 15, you'll only be able to do 10. If you have 20, you'll be able to do 20, right? It has to be multiples of 10. Anything in between that kind of goes to waste until you come back out here, and it's a bit of a pain. All right, right now I have 8 depleted batteries, and there are a couple of mobs up at the top here that typically drop them. So I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. I'm going to head up there and hope that I get my last 2 depleted batteries from the mobs up here. And I'll show you which ones tend to have a really high drop rate for them. It's these guys right here. So you can also farm these guys when you see them. These are not the easiest things to kill in the world, so a lot easier to do these scrap piles if you can. And he did. He dropped the last 2 that I needed. Okay, so we're good there. The power of editing. Okay, so he gave us the last 2 we needed. In fact, he gave us an extra one. So now we have 11, which is going to be perfect because I can show you what happens when you don't have a multiple of 10. All right, now we have 14. So what's unique about these is now that you have depleted batteries, they're still useless. You have to charge them. So you come here to the Thunderstrike Peaks and you interact with one of these machines, and you're going to say, charge my battery. And it's going to take 10 of your batteries. No less, no more. So if you don't have 10, it won't let you charge them yet. And if you have more than 10, it's only going to take 10 and it's going to leave the extras behind. So I'll collect those. Now this machine is unusable for a while. We can't use it. It's going to, go offline. It needs time to recover. So we'll come to this next one here to show you. This one, it won't let us click it, right? Because we only have 3. So we need 7 more before we could charge these. So you have to do it in multiples of 10. Just be aware of that. Try to get over here with 10, not a lot more than that, not a lot less than it, because if you end up with depleted batteries, you got to take them all the way back to your base, which means then next time you come here, you got to carry them back out and try to charge them, which is a little bit of a hassle. So try to come here with as close to 10 as possible. Now that you have your charged batteries, you can use this to craft all sorts of endgame stuff. The next thing I really wish I knew way sooner when I was playing VRISING was how incredibly useful some of the personal server settings are that you can adjust if you're playing this game on your own server, like many of you are. So in here, instead of going continue or play, you hit load game, you click your server that you've been playing on, you click edit settings, and then from here, you can come in and adjust really important things like limitations on teleporting. So you'll be able to teleport even when you're carrying things, which means you don't have to run all the way back to your base after you go out and collect items, which can be really nice, especially if you've got limited time to play the game. Another huge one was the inventory stack multiplier. This just lets you stack items to higher quantities so that they're not taking up so much space in your inventory. Your stash isn't filling up so fast. You don't have to run back to turn things in as often, and you don't have to build as many storage coffers. This can really cut down on a lot of the back and forth and keep you focused on the action of the game. Those were my 2 favorite settings to adjust, but there's a lot of great ones in here. I would just be careful changing them because the game's pacing is set really, really well. They've got it perfectly tuned. So if you adjust these, you could throw that off, so just be careful coming in here and messing with it, not to ruin the experience for yourself, but certainly do whatever it takes for you to have the most fun possible. Don't let anyone guilt trip you otherwise. But this is just the tip of the 1.0 iceberg. If you want to know a lot more about it, be sure to click the link in the description below or the video link popping up on screen right now for my complete beginner guide to VRISING 1.0. I've covered absolutely every facet of this game in that guide. Feel free to listen along to that video while you're actually playing the game to learn everything there is to know about VRISING. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, or comment. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer anything that you're confused about. I try to answer every single question. Massive shout out to my YouTube members for going above and beyond to support this channel in the big way that you do. If you want to become a channel member, click the join button below or click the link in the description. You get perks like having your name appear at the end of every video or being able to ask me anything you want in a private Discord channel. Thanks for watching. If you're not sure what to do next, maybe check out one of the videos popping up on screen right now. Until next time, hope to see you in the next one.